Nick Smith. Adventure level 7. Human. American.
"We're getting close now," Larry said. "These Fay and I are familiar with one another, so please allow me the honor of introductions."
"Don't worry," Rebus laughed. "I know better than to give my name to a Fay."
"Well, actually, these Fay already have names, so there's no need to be concerned."
"Just a joke."
"Ah, right."
The forest around us creaked and moaned as we continued walking. The weather had changed from sunny to overcast and windy, not long after we'd entered the woods. Thankfully it wasn't raining, but the smell was there. "We should pick up the pace," I said. "It's going to rain soon." "I think it would have already if it was gonna," Nash replied. "You can't smell it?" I asked with a puzzled expression. "Smell what? The rain?" "Yeah." "Of course you can smell the fucking rain," he sighed. "'Cause that makes sense, right? Why not?" You really can't smell that?" "No, damn it! The fuck do you even mean? I smell wind and trees and dirt." "I don't smell nothing special neither," Rebus added. "Me neither," Mako shrugged. The rest of the group shrugged and shook their heads, except for York, who was stroking his chin. He was so lost in thought that he stumbled over a root, but caught himself with his staff. He turned to look at the root in question with a very confused expression. "Look, I don't know how to explain the smell," I said, exasperated. "All I know is that it smells like it's going to rain soon."
"He's right. It is,"
a voice said from behind us. We froze and turned around, but didn't see anything amiss. Gali reached for his bow, but Rebus stopped him with a gesture. We stood silent and listened for a moment. Then Hino stepped forward. "Who's there?" he asked.
"You're looking right at me,"
the disembodied voice replied. We exchanged confused glances. "Okay, but that doesn't answer my question." Hino crossed his arms. "While you're at it, why can't I see you?"
"Listen, little thing. I was just trying to be helpful. It's taken a lot of effort to hold onto my leaves with all this damn wind." One of the trees rotated slightly. "Ain't really got the energy for introductions, and we don't need to know each other anyway, so why don't you bugger off now?" Yeah, fair enough," Hino said. "Let's get going." Hino turned and began to walk before the shock wore off for the rest of us. Larry levitated after him, and the rest of us had to jog to catch up. "So, the fuck?" Rebus asked once we caught up. "Dunno," Hino shrugged. "Didn't want to find out the hard way, though." "Since when are there trees that can talk?" Nash asked. "All trees can talk, but not usually via vocalizations," Larry explained. "That was a grossup. They dwell within old-growth forests and interact with the fair folk pretty often. That one was more social than most."
"Didn't seem very social to me," Gali said.
"Precisely. Most of them are quite wary of mortals. A deep-seated prejudice that has sat within them since times long forgotten to everyone else," Larry said, then shrugged. "At least, that's what the Fae have told me."
"I didn't even realize that the Grosser can present as trees," York said casually. "I was under the impression that they typically take the form of massive agaric growths." "A what?" Rebus asked before I could. "Agaric," Gali answered. "It's a type of mushroom." "So, there's big talking mushrooms somewhere out there?" "Could be in here too," Mako chuckled menacingly. "You never know." "Yeah, don't like that. Some things just shouldn't be able to talk." Mako chuckled louder, and stopped as we came to a sudden clearing. The sound of wind abruptly ceased, and a sense of mystery hung in the air. Larry floated in front of us and beckoned for us to follow him.
"I've come to call in a favor, if it's convenient," Larry called out. "And those with you?"
We looked around for the owner of the voice, but saw no one.
Interested parties, and insofar as I can tell, friends of the fair folk, the Lich replied, some of which are proven as such. Yes, Nick, Nash, Yulk, allies of the Deepwild. Permissions were granted. Not here, though. Far from here, in more ways than one. Name your payment for the debt we owe. I humbly request the aid of your expertise with language and puzzles. This may be a challenging task, and so I am willing to discuss compensation if need be. A challenge, you say?
With an audible pop, a figure enveloped in bright light appeared in front of Larry. My first instinct was to shield my eyes from the brightness, but I quickly realized that the light wasn't hurting my eyes at all. Confused, I lowered my hand and looked at everyone else. Their confusion met my own, and we all looked at the Fae as if it weren't shining like a star. It was nude, androgynous, and levitating at the same height as Larry. It held its hands cupped just below its sternum and had its eyes closed. Somehow, though, I could tell that it was still staring at me. Gah! Rebus shuddered. I don't mean any kind of offense or rudeness, but that's a creepy sort of vibe you're giving off.
As is intended, then.
The Fae winked without moving its eyelids. Larry held up his hand as a warning for silence, and we obliged.
May I introduce you? The Lich asked the Fae.
No need, Vin replied. They know me now, and I them. And it was true. I knew of the Archfey of the Court of Stillness. Its name, Vin, granted by a mysterious being that leaves a hole in my mind. It loves the way that ice slowly forms when autumn first arrives. It hates the smell of flowers and has a flair for the dramatic, even compared to the other Wilder. It once kicked Mamoldebrand in the non-physical equivalent of a dick for becoming a king and leaving the court. It felt as if I'd known it all my life, but had amnesia about how we met. I knew of Vin, but not of the Court of Stillness, or why it was angry with Mamoldebrand for leaving. The word Wilder popped into my head, and from context I was able to guess its meaning, though I'd never heard it before. When these discrepancies came to mind, my stomach tied itself in knots. I want you to know that I did not enjoy that, Ten said angrily. Enjoy what? I asked. Whatever that thing just did. All my neuromapping just flew right out the window and into a puddle. Don't think any of them would make interesting playthings for us, except Nick. Though playing with Nick would lead to some rather serious problems. Vin sighed. Nash might be fun for some of the fairies, but his hot temper would quickly escalate to the point of ruining things. The Bone Fay would love Marco, but he would break too quickly. Rebus would entertain the sirens or sprites for a time, but the issue of keeping it in his pants would limit that enjoyment to half a day at most. Hino and Gali are too cautious for play. If Rima and York are too curious for play. Congratulations, you are all safe. For now.
I see. Well, I suppose that saves us some time, Larry said. Though the veiled threats are unnecessary, Vin, I came for aid that you owe to me, and these mortals are under my protection. Let's not be rude.
Vin knows no other way to communicate, another voice called from behind us. We turned and watched a skeleton enter the clearing. It walked right through our little group and up to Larry. Something about it felt off, as if its bones didn't all belong to the same being. It took me a second to realize that it was a Bone Fay, like King Horf back in the deep wild forest, but not wearing any facsimiles of flesh and fabric. The Bone Fay stopped in front of Larry. The two skulls regarded each other with their empty sockets and fleshless faces.
It is a pleasure to see you again, Nerton, Larry said.
Same, Larry, the Bone Fay replied, then raised a bony fist. Fight me. Everyone, including Vin, froze for a moment. Narrator pumped his fist in the air, causing a rattling noise. Larry regarded the Bone Fay carefully, then shook his head sadly.
We don't have time, I'm afraid, the Lich said. I am tasked. Who tasks you? Norton asked. I'll destroy them, then we can fight. I task me. Then we can... No, but perhaps at a later time.
Larry held up his hand gently.
There is knowledge to be obtained. Oh, about your lost flesh? Perhaps, but potentially intriguing knowledge regardless.
Norton thought for a moment.
Fine, I'll hold off the challenge for now. Maybe double our usual bet, though. Of course, Larry nodded. I will want your rarest matching tibia and fibula. Fine by me. I'll be wanting your mandible and sternum.
Larry chuckled and reached into his satchel, while the rest of us shared concerned glances. He pulled out the tablets and then offered them to Vin. The Archfey looked confused for a moment, glanced at his hands, then sighed. The light surrounding Vin disappeared as it opened its eyes, grabbed the tablets, and began its examination. Its demeanor made a subtle shift from perturbed to alarmed, then carefully neutral. Before I could ask why, it cleared its throat and looked back to Larry.
What language do you need these deciphered into? Vin asked. They are written in code, Lich replied. I am aware, the Archfey replied testily. What language do you need?
Larry turned to me inquisitively. Can you decipher them into English? I asked. Both the Archfey and the Bone Fay visibly winced at my question. Oh, sorry, I apologized instinctively. What's...
Yes, I can decipher them into their original language.
Vin interrupted me.
Wait here, I'll return soon. You'll be safe from the rain in this clearing.
Vin disappeared with a pop, and Nerton regarded us nervously. His gaze fell on me more than the others.
I'm going to take my leave as well, the Bone Fay said. We'll duel some other time, old friend. Very well, Larry nodded.
Nerton turned and walked away from us at a brisk pace. Several questions seemed to hang in the air, but nobody said anything. I contemplated the behavior of both Fay. Why did they flinch when I said English? How did Vin know the tablet was encoded? How did it even know what English was? Well, would you look at that? Rebus pointed above us, interrupting my thoughts. It really is raining.
Gods damn it, Nash muttered.
Master Vampire Karain Yif. Adventure level, not applicable. Drow Master Vampire, Balushenian.
Well, well, well.
This is a surprising result, the Void whispered.
What is? What's happening? I demanded.
The others have conferred. A decision has been reached.
And what was that? My eyes snapped open and I gasped involuntarily as pain shrieked through my body. The smell of burned flesh stung my nostrils. I tried to stand but remained firmly on my back, as if my limbs would not heed my commands. You sure we can't eat? Someone asked. No, bad meats. Smell it. Be guts to burn it, someone else said. Recognition of these speech patterns tickled at my mind, but the pain prevented cognitions. What is the meaning of this? I shouted, as I once again tried and failed to move. Ah! It living! So, it can't hurt you, Skiddy Scales. Keep cutting. I contorted my neck to look around, and saw a few kobolds standing around roaring fire. A kobold with a short sword began to approach me as another threw a severed leg into the fire. I glanced down and realized with horror that I didn't have any arms, and the leg that just went into the fire was probably my own. No! I screamed. A blinding pain rippled through me as the sword bit into my torso, slicing away precious flesh. Regenerate. I have to buy time to regenerate. The dryness I felt in my mouth grew more intense as I focused on trying to regrow my limbs. Please, I whimpered. Stop. I'll just go. Nope. A kobold interrupted me. You hurt the Lord. If you live, you might do it again. Oh, plus you killed my friends and family. Yeah, that wasn't a very nice thing to do to Smeeth. Bad sucker, the kobold with a sword said, as it threw another piece of me into the flames. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll never hurt anyone again, I lied. Just please stop. Ah! The sword plunged into my flesh once more. The kobolds chuckled cruelly at my screams. Think he's small enough yet? One of them asked. Please, I begged hoarsely. Yeah, another one replied. But let's chop the head first. Still has sharp teeth to bite with. No, I can give you things. I can... My words turned into a gurgle as the blade carved its way into my throat, soaring back and forth. I desperately tried to bite at the kobold, but the muscles in my neck wouldn't bring my head around. I felt the sword crack the bones in my neck and tried to scream, but could only flap my mouth in response to the pain. A hand grabbed my hair and lifted me into the air, giving me a view of my mutilated body. All there was left of me was my barely recognizable chest. I had only been able to regenerate the stumps of my shoulders. The kobold who grabbed my head began to walk toward the fire. Make sure all the meats go into the fire, the one carrying me said. Otherwise the sucker will grow back. What about the leakings? Granny said that they need their meats to come back. The blood's fine where it is. But the Lord will want it cleaned. Then we cleans it. For the Lord! For the Lord! The reality of my situation finally sunk in, as the kobold wound up to throw me. I'm going to die. I finally found the power I wanted for so long. The power to make things the way they should be, and now I'm going to die. It's not right. It's not fair. I experienced a brief moment of weightlessness and panic before I impacted amongst the flames. Intense pain was all I could feel, and the only thing I could hear over the roar of the fire was the sound of my skin sizzling. All I could see were flames licking at my face before my eyes melted in my skull. I longed for the end to finally come when I silently screamed, cursing my mother and father, the vampires, the inbred bastard king, the orcs, the adventurers, and even the gods. Everyone that led me to this fate. Then the pain ebbed, and the void returned. A sickening laughter echoed within my mind. Confusion and anger welled within me. What? Am I dead? I asked. Is this the afterlife?
No. What you have just experienced is the fate that you have been spared by the mercy of those higher than you, the wicked god answered. Though that mercy was thin. There were many who craved your demise, and you were only spared by one vote.
One vote?
Indeed. Out of the dozens of votes that were cast, one singular vote defined the majority, and spared your middling existence.
Middling? I demanded, as my anger flared.
Quite. You acted haughtily, under the mistaken impression that by becoming a master vampire, you had also become supremely powerful. You were warned that the challenge was coming, and failed to take any reasonable precautions, thereby failing the challenge entirely. You didn't even manage to actually kill any of your opponents.
I
have been an immeasurable disappointment. Thus far, you've been nothing more than a failure, and those are extraordinarily common. There isn't anything spectacular about a failure. We expected far better from one who dares to hold ambitions to conquer the world.
The words tore into me, exposing the inadequacies and insecurities that I buried deep within. There was nothing that I could think of in reply, no argument that I could make. Even now, as I mentally revisit the fight, I can see the mistakes I made. Stupid and foolish mistakes that I should have been smart enough to avoid.
Yes. You shouldn't have sent your minions into a choke point, limiting their superior maneuverability and simultaneously leaving you undefended. You should have been less cautious and expanding your forces. You should have this. You should have that, it said impatiently. But you didn't. We expected strategy, not stupidity. We expected brutality, not cowardice. Your fear of failure ensured it. I found myself unable to be angry at these words, even as they bit into me. Though the tone was condescending, it was a well-deserved chiding. I should have been smarter. Should have taken this more seriously. To hell's with the gods and their challenges. This was my life that I threw away with my stupid mistakes. What now? I asked, my ego completely deflated. In accordance with the compact of the highest one, you will be spared and I will speed up your regeneration. From there, do as you will. Perhaps your homeland will be more accommodating to a failure such as yourself. The guard laughed cruelly. Perhaps you'll even learn the secrets that the other vampires have kept from you, and we'll get to see how those secrets shape you. Or perhaps you'll stumble yet again and die a pathetic death. We will be silent to you from now on, and we will not intercede on your behalf again. Begone. My eyes snapped open, and I gasped involuntarily as the shock of what had happened ran through my mind. I scrambled to a sitting position, breathing heavily and checking to make certain that I was intact. Tears ran down my face as I gripped my arms and legs, the memories of my demise still fresh. The cold of the dungeon floor barely registered upon my nude form, but the sound of padded feet and chattering coming from the entrance hall sent a chill down my spine. Kobolds. Conflicting thoughts surged to the front of my consciousness. Fight or flight. I've killed several dozen kobolds thus far, and that was before I became a master. It would be a simple matter to kill more of them, and it would make me feel better about the trauma I had just endured. They wouldn't stand a chance, but if I kill the kobolds, it will broadcast my survival if the adventurers return to this dungeon. There had been a kobold that had accompanied the adventurers. If the same kobold is with this group and I kill it, they may hunt me down. The murder of a companion, pet or otherwise, is the perfect motivation for revenge. I decided that leaving would be the wisest choice, and scrambled to my feet. After a moment of stumbling, I fled deeper into the dungeon. I grabbed a robe and cloak, threw them on, and jogged for the rear exit of the dungeon, and into the dilapidated manor. The sun shone upon my face through a hole in the roof, and I gratefully breathed in the outside air. Mindful of my appearance, I concentrated until I felt my face shift into the visage of Habis. The homeless elf would serve me one last time, as my mask. Carefully noting that the adventurers may have committed this face to memory, I decided to find a new one as soon as possible. With this ability, though, I will have no trouble gathering intelligence on what is happening within the Night Kingdom. Assuming anyone knows, that is. With one more deep breath, I raised the hood of my cloak and left the manor behind.